Hey guys, how you doing? I'm RJ Cash, Break the Board Sports. Click that like, hit subscribe. I've got over 20 years handicapping games. 14 have been actually a professional bettor, not doing anything else, but over 20 years doing it. 6 years in after I figured out how to win, ended up being a full-time handicapper. So I want to share with you here the college football playoff as it's upon us this week. We got the quarterfinals and already mistakes that I've heard. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of shows. There's a lot of sharp people out there that when it gets to these big games, just act like they've absolutely lost their mind and they're like a herd of sheep going to get slaughtered. All right. So, rule number one, you can't take a whole lot of what happened this year and bank it into the handicap of the CFP. And you might be like, well, RJ, that makes no sense. Then you're basically picking the games blind to a degree, but let me explain myself. You can't go in there and say, hey, because Georgia beat Ole Miss, they're just going to trounce them again because Georgia looks like they're so unstoppable all of a sudden. Remember how quickly things shift. Before Georgia, Alabama, all we heard about is how Alabama owns Georgia. Georgia not playing the greatest of football. Then Georgia beats them, and all of a sudden, Georgia's the greatest team in the world. The Big Ten, we got Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. Now, if you watch every show, doesn't matter what network it is, doesn't matter what podcast it is, everybody's lined up and conceded Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, and Georgia. That's who it's coming down to. Even the odds makers have juiced those teams because those are who everybody's gravitating towards. How many people have you heard say, hey, I think Ole Miss is going to win the title? Or, hey, I think Texas Tech's going to win the title. Or, hey, I think Miami's going to win the title. Or, hey, I think Alabama's going to win the title. And the truth of the matter is, all 8 teams are live. Let's rewind back to last week in the CFP. JMU, they're not going to be able to stay on the field with Oregon. Oregon's going to blow them out. Well, JMU backdoor covered that game. Let's look at Miami, Texas A&M. If somebody had told you with that electric Texas A&M office and Marcel Reed and that whole crew that they were going to hold Texas A&M and beat them in that low scoring of a game, would you have believed it in College Station, the dog outright? Let's look at Tulane and Ole Miss. That lined up just like people said. Ole Miss had beat up Tulane. Tulane was inferior. So that one worked out. Now, when you fast forward that and you go over to Texas Tech BYU, a lot of people were on Texas Tech. Worked out. So when you look at it, favorites and dogs had a 2-2 split. So as you start to move into the college football playoff quarterfinals, you got to look at it and say, okay, all the favorites, they may win, but they're not all going to cover. So then you got to start undressing, well, who doesn't? Who's the most likely not to cover? And the reality of the matter is, all 4 dogs are live, whether you want to believe that or not, or put your comments down there. And here's why: there is nothing about Oregon that flashes and wows me. The reality of the matter, folks, is the Big Ten has been overrated for years. This isn't your same Ohio State team from last year. This isn't your same Ohio State team from CJ Stroud and company, right? Indiana is a really good football team. Ohio State, really good football team. I still think Ohio State's the best team in college football. I do. Do I think they're worlds better than everybody else? No, I don't. Oregon, I don't know if they're better than Texas Tech, but I know this. I haven't heard anybody picking Texas Tech, right? And now, as much as everybody's on Oregon and as many bets as on Oregon, as much the public's talking about Oregon, you haven't seen that line move. That should tell you all you need to know. Now, let's flip to Indiana, Alabama, right? The line's setting at 7. I understand Indiana. I understand how good they've been. I'm a Kirk Sinay fan. He was here at Virginia JMU, followed him, really liked the guy. But let me ask you a question. Just say to yourself, Indiana is favored by 7 over Alabama. Just keep saying it, and then common sense will kick in at some point in time. Indiana is not going to blow out Alabama on a neutral field. That's just not going to happen. And I really like Mendoza, and I really like this Indiana team. I truly do. But if we're talking about, I know Mendoza won the Heisman, But if we're really putting it in a box, I want you to line up his season compared with all the other Heisman seasons, and then you tell me what you think. Because Indiana has beat Oregon, that I'm very suspect of, and they've beat Ohio State. It's who they've beaten. And again, I know you can't control your schedule, but I always wonder, how would these Big Ten teams do? Take Ohio State out of it, right? Because I think Ohio State's just, I think they're top 3 program in the country every year. How would these Big Ten teams fare in an SEC schedule? I always want to know that. And then let's look at the other flip of the coin here. Let's go Miami and Ohio State, right? Again, the whole world on Ohio State, the line set 9.5. Had some people comment on the other show, well, Miami's defense, they're not as good as Indiana's. Maybe not. But let me tell you something. That Miami defense is fast, right? Carson Beck's played a lot of college football. It's going to be a low scoring game. Ryan Day has already showed us Ohio State may have the 2 best just think about this. Ohio State may have the 2 best wide receivers in the country, and yet they don't turn Julian Sayin loose. I mean, I was hearing about that guy winning the Heisman. I'm like, what? He has an average quarterback at best. Average. If he was that good, they would let him chuck it down the field like they used to let Stroud chuck it down the field, right? So again, Ohio State relies on that defense. So the game is automatically going to be a close game. Here's another thing. Totals. All you guys love totals, and everybody loves betting overs. These games have been on the board for over a week. They've been dissected. The numbers are tight. The odds makers know what they're doing. You cannot go and bet an over in every single game. That's just not. From here on out, when you look at it, it may only be by 2 games, but the unders will cash more than the overs, right? It's just going to happen that way. These tighter games, things tighten up. Unders tend to happen more, just like the NFL playoffs. So look, here's the biggest thing. Don't get sucked into what your friends say. Don't get sucked into what ESPN says or Sports Grid TV says or Wager Talk says or VSiN says. And I think all of them do a great job. I'm not discounting anybody, but a lot of noise really hinders your handicap. Look at the game, look at who's there, dive into the stats, check out my shows if you like. But I'm telling you, 6-0 last week in college football playoff bets. Moving into this week, don't follow the public or you're going to get slaughtered. There's going to be a lot of broken hearts, and there's going to be some surprises come the end of New Year's Day night in the CFP. And this Final Four may not look, matter of fact, I don't think it's going to look how everybody think it is. Click that like, hit subscribe. RJ Cash, Break the Board Sports, giving you stats, trends, information to help you with your handicap. Whether you fade or follow, hope you win your bets. Happy CFP betting, and God bless.